Well, apparently I'm live now. And my camera sucks right now, which I have tried repeatedly. There we go. Well, fourth round's the charm, I guess. Okay, excuse me while I try to do some business. For those of you who are new, please welcome to Restore Belief with Nikki. I am Nikki, a psychic medium, which is kind of ironically funny right now. Considering all the bullshit that I just went through. Let me try to access and at least get the frickin' word out to people. At least I'm on here. That's something. Okay, so there we go. Well, it's not public, but that'll get there. Anyhow, hello to those who are actually following me and who have stuck around. I do appreciate it. I'm a little on the pissed off side right now because of their bullshit and their shenanigans. But considering what I said last week, whoa, hello, I got background noise. That's me. Okay. I give myself permission to speak. Anyhow, yeah, last week was I got fed up and fed up with the crap and the bullshit of the government and the shit that they were putting on me. And believe me, it was bullshit. Granted, the statement I made last week did stop a lot of problems for a couple of days. It was actually rather nice. I didn't have any asshats in here until, oh God, I think that was Thursday. I think it was Sunday. And then I got hit really freaking hard with do weapons, and that one kind of knocked me senseless for a bit. But, if you are a targeted individual via do weapons, direct energy weapons, or via microwave weapons, come talk to me because I am here to tell you there is a way around them. They're trying to get me to forget. It's interesting. They're getting me to forget different things, but it's not working on the kind of memory that they want it to work on. Which I find incredibly, ironically, hysterically funny. Because you're screwing with other things, but hey, Rick, how you doing? But you're not affecting the things that you want affected regarding my memory. You want me to forget about the book and about all the different things that I know about. Not happening. Okay, trying to get everybody there. And I do, there's a number of people that I know that are truly targeted individuals by the government. They're trying to shut a lot of people down for a wide range of reasons. Met an interesting woman today. Highly, if I could recommend her, I would. But it's too dangerous for me to do that. It's too dangerous for them. That all said, I didn't have asshats in my house for about 3 days. 3 days. It was the nicest fucking 3 days and break that I can honestly say I've had in quite a long time. I did mean what I said. The ones that showed up, I had 2 that showed up. One was here and one was out. They were here and then they were gone. And to see if I was going to stand my ground, oh, you better believe I did. And I apologize about the hair. I'm not used to having such long hair to where I can actually put it up. You know, not used to using rubber bands on my hair again because those cause a lot of breakages. Anyhow, so you're kind of getting me where I've the hair is long and cattywampus. Almost reminds me of Albert Einstein. Crazy hair. And I by no means am comparing myself to, and see, that's the other thing, is my words are all fucked because of this last goddamn fucking dew weapon. Anyway, am I angry? Yes. Am I frustrated enough to go hunting? No. That's the other thing. They fully expect that I'm going to lose my abilities. I have not lost all my abilities. I still have quite a few of them. I still have the ability to reach out to the hierarchies. I still have the abilities to do a lot of different things. So fuck you. You haven't gotten what you wanted done. And somebody made a really excellent point with me about maybe I should start naming names from the book. There's a George and a Stephanos and a Stevens and a there's quite a few officers. There's quite a few military high-ranking officials in it. There's a number of president signatures on it. How they got the book out of the... I don't have any clue about that. I don't give 2 shits how they got it out. Is this a real... Why would I even be targeted? Ask this. Why would she be targeted if it was not a real book? If they didn't have this book, if they didn't have it, and they didn't have any of the documents, why would they target me? Big BFD, big fucking deal. Why would I be targeted? All because I asked about a book, a supposed government book filled with documents that were somehow, I don't know when, I don't know how, just because I'm a psychic medium doesn't mean I've got all the answers. There are things I don't fucking want to know. I don't give 2 shits about knowing regarding certain things that the government's doing. Then there's a bunch of things that I do want to know. Have I delved into a lot of things? In some regards, regarding the book, yes. In some other ways, absolutely not. There are some things that I don't believe that we should know. But there are plenty of things that I honestly believe that we should. Like the fact that the government kills on demand whoever, whenever they want, even though they've got their own law. They act like they're lawless. And yet, ask some questions about that. It's been a wild ride the last week or so. So this is... the original post was what's to come. That was what this was supposed to be about. what's to come. Okay, hang on a second. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that. And if I could delete while I'm dealing with this, I would, but I don't know how to do that right now. Anyway, do your research. Ask questions. Find out why government is doing what they're doing. They're doing a lot of things to hide the crap that they're pulling. Ask about the children. Why am I receiving information? Hey, Amy, why am I receiving information on thousands of children who are missing and that the government has them? Why am I not missing? Why am I receiving information on that? Why would the government have them? Think about that. Start asking about that. Why would the government take children? I know that when I was being abducted, and we're talking ETs that work with government. The ETs were the actual ones doing the abductions. They were using kids to train them for nefarious things as the kids growing up and trying to wipe their memories. It's very insidious, the things that they do. I'm not making that up. That is very real stuff. It is, like I said, do your own research. And I keep getting told, yeah, you need to have product, t-shirts and hats that say, do your own research on it. Yeah, I should. I'm not making any money on this, people. Not a goddamn dime. I'm not. I don't even make money on my psychic medium stuff. Why would the government be coming after me? Because I'm talking about something that they don't want exposed. Why am I being targeted? Because I'm talking about things that they don't want exposed. Do your own research. I'm not just blowing smoke up people's asses. I'm not exactly enthusiastic about being public. My family sure as fuck isn't. They are not happy about it at all. But I'm doing this because I think it's the right thing to do, and I think more people need to understand what it's like being an abductee, ET abductee, but also what it's like being an abductee that dealt with government. Did you know that when those kids are taken, that they have contracts? Once they reach a certain age, there is a government contract out with these kids. Now, granted, it's a hidden, and those contracts will never be revealed because, hello, they're the fucking government, or they're corporate conglomerates. They're kiss-assing up to the government because they want the contracts. They want the government contracts because they'll make bank on it. Well, in some regards they will, and in other regards they won't. Do your deep dive research. That is the one thing. If you take anything away from anything that I talk about, do your own extensive deep dive research. There are reasons I say do that. I'm not enthusiastic about Musk and what he's doing, but yet at the same time, on different sections of it, I'm thankful for it because it's bringing about This is what I've talked about. Follow the frickin' money. There's different fake things that the government's been doing, and they're using where you think they're getting the money. How do you think some of these other conglomerates, these other aerospace places, are getting some of their funding from in order for some of their big government secret contracts? Think about it. Now, this is not what I was going to talk about tonight, but think about it. Where are we going? I know people left and right who are wanting to leave and get out of the country because they don't like what's happening. I know others that did years ago. You have to do whatever is best for you. Whatever is best for your situation is what you have to do. But here's the thing. Watch your back. Take precautions. Whatever it is that you're choosing to do, or however it is you have to live, because things have gotten bad, watch your back. Be very, very careful. Be very, very careful in who you tell anything to, because you do not know anymore nowadays. There are so many people that are considered handlers. There's a woman that I know that is damn fortunate to be alive today. Well, actually, there's a few women that I know that are damn fortunate to be alive today. Because of the targeting that they've been through, because of the handlers that they had. You may think you've got people that you trust. Be very, very careful, because even they can be classified as a handler. Somebody who's a narcissist, who's a deep narcissist, can easily be construed as a handler because they want what they want, not what other people are going on about talking about. It's all about control. And how far off the deep end are they? Hey, Robert, it's good to see you here. It's good to see everybody here. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate it. And I'm glad you were able to find me. Been a hell of a time getting this up. And the fact that hey, Christine, I'm really glad to see you here too. You look great. I feel pretty good for this first time in a while. I appreciate that. I'm in desperate need of a great haircut, though. It's just way too goddamn long. I haven't been able to put I got to thinking about that. Okay, side note. I got to thinking about the fact that how long has it been since I've had my hair up like this? About 1998. It's been that long ago. I rarely put my hair up anymore. Anyway, off of that subject. Anyhow, so then you'll hear a animal deciding to play. Anyway, and fart. Oh my God, dude, seriously. Don't do that over by me. Ew. Anyhow, God, when you have animals, hello. God. Anyway, I hope you are all well. I'm glad to see everybody in here. Toxic, yes, exactly. Exactly, Robert. Anyhow, so what's to come? What's to come with the United States? What's to come with global stuff? There's so many different levels of things that are going on. I did put out a public lockdown message for the government because I am targeted and they do watch. I did say it was not for public consumption. But there was something major, and it was so major that I did put out that notice, because I was like, okay, as much as I hate them, and I do, I dislike them a great deal. There are certain things I will absolutely not put up with when it comes to information. And if I'm notified about very specific information, I will let them know. However, that hasn't stopped them from targeting me. So, do I stop being a psychic medium and stop being a human being that has feelings and has a belief system about individuals dying? I'm not going to stop being a psychic medium. The other side won't allow it. Oh my God. I found that out right after I made my statement. Yeah, it was the day after. I had to think about that. It was the day after, and I got essentially told by the other side, we're going to make sure that we want you as a psychic medium. So they let me know that. And yeah, I'm making that public. They want it. They're going to make sure that I'm going to continue being one. Whether I want that or not, apparently. And I do, actually, because there's certain aspects of it that I do miss. When you've had something for your entire life, it really, it was very different. There were 2.5 days back in 2019 where it was dead silent in my home. And I actually found out what it was like for everybody else having dead silence in your home. And you don't have spirits going at you all the time, pretty much 24/7. So, yeah. Robert just said, just got the song YMCA running through my head from the quote, "We want you" comment. Yeah. They've made it very apparent that that's what is going to be happening. They've made it very apparent that I'm going to be protected in different fashions, different forms. And I'm like, okay, I'm here for it. Let's do it. And the different things that I've been seeing regarding the country is not so much the political, it's the physical in the country. And I'm not talking about we're talking old school shit. Earthquakes, much more earthquakes, much more upheaval in that regards regarding the earth, because of what is going on with it. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm seeing more of. So that's the kind of things that I'm more concerned about than I am the political shit. And the political shit is shit. On so many levels, but yet government does need to be revamped. We've all known it. And everybody's tried to go through the way they've tried to go through, and apparently this is how they're going to get through in another way. Do your research as to who owns the farms. Do your research as to who owns what companies own what. Do your research as to why the European Union will not allow certain things that are allowed in the United States. Look into as many of those things as you possibly can. and do your extensive research on it. And at the same time, start learning how. We either just had an earthquake or something just rattled the building. That was interesting. Anyway, do your extensive research on it. I didn't feel it in the floor, I felt it in the walls. It was interesting. Do your extensive research on it. Go through and do read the ingredients list on everything, because what you're ingesting may not necessarily what you think you're ingesting. I'm not reading that one out loud, Robert. I agree, but I'm not reading that one out loud. If you want to read it, go into the chat and take a good read. Yeah, I'm not able. Somebody else is going to have to do that. I'm not going to do that while I'm on air. Excuse me, but there is a building on the other side of this building that has a tendency to do certain things, and it's more difficult here than it was at my other place. It was easier to tell. This one's a bit different, building wise, where it's located and more up on a hill rather than in a valley. Anyhow, regarding the ET stuff, if you are an ET abductee and you are listening to me, there are numerous locations and you're targeted. Let's see if I can do this without ringing the bell. Woohoo, it worked. Because I brought my bell out to ring it at the very end. Look into people like Lorien Fenton and Miesha Johnston and oh my God, there's so many other women. I can't think of all of them right now. Samantha Mowat and Lorien Fenton, Miesha Johnston, Samantha Mowat. There's two others. I can't think of who the hell it is that I'm. Oh, that's interesting. Dude, you gotta be kidding me. I'm not playing right now. There you go. Okay, that actually hurt the back. Anyway, look into some of these women. They do a lot of and now we got the squeaky toy. Yeah. Now we got the squeaky toy. So look into them. Look into where they're at. Some are in Vegas, some are in eastern part of California. Ouch. Trying to think of where the other ones are. Look into some of these other ladies. Play slabber. Yeah, exactly. Drool monster drives me nuts. Anyway, and once you touch that toy, you gotta wash the hands big time. Look into some of these ladies because they talk extensively about their experiences. Some of them have created abductee groups, support groups, in order to help a lot of people. God, it's driving me nuts. I cannot. Lorien Fenton and Melinda Leslie. That's who I was thinking of. Could not think of her name. look into those ladies. There's another one. It's not Cindy. This is what the targeting has done to my brain. You've jumbled my words. You have not jumbled my brain, but you've jumbled the way my mouth functions with my brain. That pisses me off. If I could do anything against them, I would wish it 10 times 10 upon them, or 100 times 100 upon them and their own brains, based on what they have done to me. 100 times worse is what I want on them. Yeah, exactly. So, Trace, hey, how you doing? Glad you are alive. Yeah, I am too, actually. The last few weeks have been really rough for me. Mom's death didn't hit me until about 2 weeks after. But what I'm going to say regarding government stuff is protect your ass hardcore. With what they've been doing to me, the fact that they can use a direct energy weapon on me, the fact that they can use microwave technology weapon on me to where my whole head felt like it was on fire, my skin felt like it was burning. I had blisters starting to happen on my ears and part of my head. I had lumps actually forming on the top of my head because of not the last one, but the one before that. Although the fact that I'm using castor oil to protect my skin, well, not so much to protect my skin as a healing, it's started my hair growth. Didn't expect that. So, anyhow, if you have questions about ETs, ask now, because I've got all my memories. It's just pulling each one out is a little bit more different for me now because of the targeting. Although I still have the memories. Oh my God, I still have the memories by leaps and bounds. And I'm remembering more of my space program stuff. So, yeah, Christine, she says castor oil is great for hair growth. They say head, hair, eyelashes, eyebrows, etc. I was thinking of trying it. Yeah, my eyebrows love it. I started growing more eyebrows, and I went, I gotta get, where's the tweezers? Because we want the hair in a specific manner. But yeah, supposedly if you're using castor oil and the resin of something else, I can't think of what it is at this second, but there's a certain kind of resin, is it frankincense resin? I don't remember at the second, but go look it up. I think it's frankincense and castor oil, and rosemary. Check into those three. Like, I'm no doctor. I'm just repeating what I know has worked and what. Anyhow, yeah, exactly. Well, so Amy, if it goes, castor oil used to be given to women who were pregnant to help ease, if I remember right, God, this goes back years ago. Somebody look it up. Don't quote me on this. If I remember correctly, they were, was it castor oil or was it to facilitate birth? It's been too many years. I used to know all this shit in the 90s into the early 2000s. Now it's just like kind of like fallen by the wayside because so much other information has become more important to me. But you know, one of the things that I was going to do today, okay, let's see if I can find it though. Let's find out. Does she even still have it on her computer? Or have I removed it? Is it one of the things that I actually removed? Let's see. No, I think I might have removed it. I think. And what it was what I wrote up about the book. Let's see. Did I get rid of it? Yeah, it looks like I got rid of it. Damn. Maybe. I was kind of hoping to read it to you guys. It was going to specifically talk about how the book came about, what actually took place, and it would have been better with me reading it than with me trying to describe what took place because it's more defined. Yeah, I'm not finding it. I really thought I would have had it. Yeah, it's not here. Oh well. Either that or it was one of the file folders the motherfucker stole. Because believe me, they have already gone through my they've already gone through my laptop. So they were able to kill off at least, well, quite a few files. Let's put it that way. Really, yeah, when you're online and you're seeing your file folders disappear, yeah, you know you got somebody connected to you and stealing your shit. The interesting thing is that I don't keep Social Security shit. I don't keep any of that crap on my computer. None of it. There's reasons I don't do that. There's just not, it's not safe. So all they really get are the typings, the information of that. Anyway, so mom got called and said, hey, you're gonna be borrowing something, and that's how all this came about, was how the book came about. And it was because of another psychic who was doing corporate espionage, I might add. And this was back in the 80s. This was before I even understood what corporate espionage really was. I was a teenager at the time. You'd hear about corporate espionage on the TV. Hey, Mr. B and friends. I'm glad to see you here, Terry. So I was a teenager, and periodically you'd hear corporate espionage on the news. Somebody stopping it. And that's all I knew of it as. And you come across a psychic medium who's working for a business that you know of, and the next thing you know, this bitch is in your home in Astral. I was a teenager. She set a trap for me. They told my mom some very specific information, and threatened her, to say the very least. she was threatened in such a way that it truly did terrify her. The information that she was told by other employees scared the living shit out of my mom. And it takes a lot to scare the shit out. It took a lot to scare the shit out of my mom back then, because hello, we had been through so much, to say the very least. Oh my God, my mom. Everything my mom had been through, it's just absolutely has astounded me. Talk about a hardcore survivor. So, they threatened her and ordered her to bring me to them because I was the only one that could see this psychic, what I call the psychic bitch from hell, the one who was into corporate espionage. And she had tested me. The second we entered the parking lot, there was a very specific barrier, and I popped the barrier just by entering it. And to do that means that she was using very, very specific form of black magic and necromancy. This is why I call her a psychic bitch from hell. And she ended up having numerous attacks. I don't know what else to call them. She had numerous other attacks set up waiting for me throughout the building. There was only one way in and out of that building. Well, actually, there were two, but the other way was locked at all times. And so it made it to where you only had one entrance, one exit. And the second I put my hand on a doorknob, that was another one. Amy's asking, was she the one that was a chain smoker? Honestly, at this second, I don't remember. I don't remember. I remember her perfume. I remember her perfume. I remember what she looked like. I remember her energy. No, she wasn't a chain smoker, Amy. Sorry, I had to think about that and go back into my memory. Although she did smoke, now that I think about it. She did smoke, but she wasn't a chain smoker. Because when you're a chain smoker, when you're in Astral, or when you are, no, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. Okay, so basically, she came in to the apartment that Mom and I were living in, and checked Mom and I out. And Mom and I were sitting there watching TV, Mom on the couch, and I'm in my grandmother's chair, and each of us had a bowl of popcorn, and we're watching TV. And this bitch comes walking right through the sliding glass door. And I dropped my bowl of popcorn on the floor, and I said, I don't know who I stood up and I said, I don't know who the fuck you are. And for me to swear, let alone say an F word, an F bomb in front of my mother, are you kidding me? I looked her dead in the eyes and I said, you get the fuck out of my house. I don't know who the hell you are, but you get. And she actually, for me to stand up to this woman, it absolutely shocked her. The following day at my mother's work, they ordered her in to the main office, and the two owners of the business, with this psychic bitch from hell um, ordered my mother to bring me in. They threatened her. Besides the order, and it terrified my mom. And so here, a number of days later, I'm walking in well prepared because I unexpectedly came across. How do I say this? How do I say this? I came across some friends who knew the family. And one of those friends prepped me going in. And thank God they did. I went through every one of the tests. I'm trying to be polite as I can be without getting really pissy and bitchy and dropping a lot of F-bombs. She had a lot of tests through each and every door from the parking lot, the door entrance. There were a number of entrances, up the stairs. The stairs themselves had their own test. As a psychic, they were all meant to put me on the fucking ground. And there's another F-bomb. Sorry. Every single test that she did was deliberately meant to knock my ass to the ground. None of them did any of that. And she was using full-on necromancy. I didn't understand that. I didn't know what necromancy was back then. I mean, I knew about black magic and that kind of stuff, but I didn't grasp a true comprehension. I didn't know what my soul was back then. I was consistently told by other psychics that, oh, you're an old soul. You're a really old soul, or you go back a long, long ways. I had a comprehension of what that meant. Now I fully understand it. Completely different ballgame. So I get upstairs. I get up the numerous set of stairs going up to the building, inside of the building. And the second to last door that I put my hand on to open it, because I was like, there's no way in hell my mother's walking through this. I'm going to be going ahead of my mom because I was already told this woman is incredibly dangerous. She's incredibly powerful and she's incredibly dangerous, and you need to watch your back and you need to be very careful because you're going to have your mom with you. And I was extremely careful. So we get through the last door that had been to the stairwell, and it was like another rupture. And it was weird because the handrail to the stairs was wired. And what I mean by wired, it wasn't physically wired. It was energetically wired. And it was, so even touching it and walking up the stairs, that was found out the first time when I went to touch the banister. She'd wired the entire frickin' flights of stairs. So I learned very quickly, don't touch the banister. So I get up, we get through the last door. We're on the main floor that goes into this hallway. And I'm already telling Mom she knows we're here. She knows we're here. And she knew long ago. I mean, her radar was going off the second. And I told Mom that when we were out in the parking lot. I was like, she put up a barrier. She knows we're here. And Mom was like, logical, thinking, well, that she probably saw us watching us out the window. I'm like, no, it's beyond that. And Mom did not understand what I was talking about, which was fine. I didn't want her to understand at the time. It was too dangerous. What we were walking into was way, way too dangerous. And my mom was completely unaware, and thank God she was. I kid you not. She never would have, if she had truly knew and comprehended what the hell was happening, she never would have continued working there. She never would have. There's a bunch of things she never would have done. She continued working there until we could get out of Dodge, basically. This was her way out, and this was my way out as well. Out of that town, out of that county. And she knew, the psychic medium, she knew. She knew I was an abductee. And because she started looking into who I was. And a number of days after this, a book was released into my mother's possession. And my mother was given explicit orders to never discuss. The family can know. The four of us can know. Her father, her stepmother, and her daughter were the only ones allowed to view this book. Where the book came from, all I know, it was called The Collective. That is all I know. The Collective, over 500 families, each, whoever they were, of the collective. Hang on, guys. My back is really bothering me right now, and it's I'm going to be moving around a lot, so I apologize ahead of time. And hopefully I don't do any high-pitched squeals, so watch your ears. Did a bit of walking today, and I'm paying for it right now. Okay, there we go. No, other way. There we go. So anyhow, so we get into the office. I meet this woman, and she's telepathic. I don't know where she fucking learned her stuff. I have a suspicion I know. I believe she was originally from one of the Carolinas. I'm not sure which one. I have a tendency to say north, but instinct tells me South Carolina. I do not remember her first name. I've never wanted to remember her first name or her last name, ever, because I never wanted to deal with this bitch again in my entire life. Now, where she got the book from, I don't know if it was the family that she worked for. I don't know if it was something that she had, or if it was somebody that she knew of. I don't give two shits where it came from. Mom was specifically told that somebody within the government, I'm assuming that person is long past dead, because I can only imagine when this was done. excuse me, so somebody made the best that they could do photocopies of document after document after document. This is what I know. I don't know how they did it. I don't know who did it. Don't fucking come after me about it because I don't got a goddamn clue. This is what mom was told, and this is what she relayed to us. Well, there were 4 of us total, but us 3. My grandfather, who's dead, my step grandmother, who's dead, and the only living person left alive out of the 4 is me. This is what we were told, was that she had a book and a videotape that was on loan to her, and that the information was that it's a hidden, secretive government book. Is it classified as the quote-unquote mysterious, legendary red book? No. That whoever got all of these documents photocopied and out of the United States, I don't know how they did it. I don't want to know. Not my problem. Hey, Para, glad to see you here, sweetie. So I don't have a clue as to how they did it. I don't know who did it. Not a clue. But it was done. And this book is the book that I got to have access to for 15 hours. I actually had to sit down when I first started talking about this book with a couple of different friends. I was like, I had to actually sit down and figure out how long it was. I had to go through my memories to figure out how long it was that I actually got my hands on that book and was going page by page and knew that I would not be able to logically read the entire book. So I literally took my photographic memory and went page by page, flipping a page over, photographing with my mind each page. Can I tell you what each page looked like? Yes. They reminded me of biblical pages, actually, Bibles. The papers was that thin, it almost, or not exactly that thin, but almost. But the documents were incredible. Do I remember what was on the cover, the outside cover, the bottom cover? Yes. Do I remember what was on the spine? If there was anything on the spine? Yes. Do I remember each individual page? Yes. This is why I have been consistently targeted, because I specifically asked a retired CIA agent, and he tried to hypnotize me on the spot to get me to remember more of it. I wasn't telling him more of it. And the second I realized that what he was trying to do, I immediately, I just shut right down. I just backed away from him, and I just started asking questions. And he came up to me the following day at this location that we were all at, and came running up to me, in fact, or walking as fast as he possibly could, to find out if I had remembered any more of it during the middle of the night. And because he wanted the information, and I wasn't going to fucking tell him. I just wanted to know if he'd heard about the book. And the way he behaved led me to believe he had heard about the book. So, or knew of it, but had definitely heard about it. No, you can't go outside right now. We can't go outside right now. Come here, sweetheart. Yeah. Oh, come on. Don't lick the knees. Anyhow, um, so we go from, so I had figured out that that's why I have 15 hours stuck in my head, because it took a number of people to ask me, well, what about this? What about that? No, no. You do not belong over there. Go, go, go. Get your head out of that. Thank you. No, no, no. No head in between there. Anyhow, you don't need a big head to it. That would not. There's all kinds of wires over there. The way I've got things set up right now. That would not be safe, bub. No, that would not be safe. There you go. You want a place to sit? Go sit. Anyhow, so we end up. Mom ends up with this book one night. She gets the whole family together, and here we go. Amy, can you name the title of it relatively safely now that you are the only living member of the book? I can, but I'm choosing not to right now. It was a long title. It was a very fucking long title. It was the front cover talked about, I can state it this way, the front cover talked about ufology. And basically, when you opened up to the front facing, because it was done, it was all printed up just like a regular book. Unfortunately, I don't have the next book over here sitting next to me. I've got a gift that my daughter-in-law gave me, and it's a book. And I was going to say, this is, where you've got the spine and you've got the front cover and the back cover and blah, blah, blah. It was a long title. It had a short title and then a very long title underneath of it to explain what each letter meant. It also had military personnel names on it. It had the name of one of the program director names on it. Oh, don't give me that look. Thank you. Sorry, I gotta look because I'm not taking somebody out for a walk right now. It had 3 names on it and a 4th person as all initials, which I thought was really odd. I understand that now because of who they are in government. And you talk about people in government who knew. All the names are in that book. All the names are on the documents that are in that book. They're names of people who are long past dead. They're names that are, there's a few of them that are still alive. It's funny because the government has tried, when are watching me, and I know that my phone is, because I've got a very old phone, they watch who I search for, that kind of thing. So like if I'm on Google, they'll watch who I search for. I already know this. I don't give 2 shits about that. They're going to watch me no matter what because I'm talking about the book. Because I've witnessed certain things psychically. Like in 2019, I didn't understand the download that I received for 2020. about the CV-19 thing and all of that. Amy and Robert were there when I got the download. It was a hell of a download. It wiped me the hell out. I mean, the things that I saw, the military, I talked about this. They can verify that. They can verify the fact that during that download, not only did it wipe me out, I literally saw so many military, I keep wanting to call them execs, but military, high-ranking profile military from different countries. And that never made any sense to me. I was like, why are there so many military officers from so many different countries with this scientist? That made no logical sense to me. Now it makes perfect logical sense because of look what the hell happened with the lockdown in 2020. So yeah, there are a bunch of names that I've seen over the number of years that have died, people who have died. There are a number of folks who have who are still living, and they know that I'm telling the truth. This is why I'm being targeted. This is no freaking joke. So basically, I ended up going through the book for 15 hours, and I read a lot, as much as I possibly could. And then when I realized I'm running out of time, I literally, page by page by page, and I literally just, it was like, okay, look at this, read the first line, memorize the whole thing of it, and that's how I dealt with my memory of it. And there are 3 what I call chapters, because I don't know what else to call them, that I said that I would, 2 really, that I would never talk about. Well, with all their shit, yeah, it didn't just deal with propulsion systems, it dealt with the potential and high probability that they were going to be creating a space program. There were also conversations in the book about numerous different programs, what they were renaming them. I couldn't tell you what the names are right now. I mean, I would have to open up every single memory to be able to access that. And this is what they're trying to prevent me from remembering. But I've got things in such a lockdown method that they're not causing a deletion of those memories. They're in a specific kind of lockdown. The book, I don't have a tape measure in front of me. They're very specific individuals that I've only ever given the dimensions of this book to, what it looked like. They're very specific. So if anything does happen to me, there are other people that know. And I'm not talking Amy and Robert. I'm talking other people. There are other people outside of ufology that know. Because you are affecting my life. You are affecting me in a very specific way. And you're trying to cause cancer. And I get that. I understand that. Doesn't mean I have to like it. And I am fighting for my life. Anybody that is being targeted like I'm being targeted, you are in a fight for your life. This is not a joking matter. This is not some crackpot, nutpot, whatever you want to call it, cracked pot, whatever. I'm not. I'm a morbidly obese woman who is at home most of the time, except for when I've got errands, which isn't all that often, and this is what they're doing. I can be home and still have psychic whatever. I'm dealing with a disability already, and they're trying to cause cancer and try to cause me more health problems. Yeah, I agree with you, Christine. They are cowards. They're major cowards because they don't want to have the consequences. But what's going to happen to your soul? Your soul will have major, you don't give two shits because it's not the here and now for you. But you're creating the here and now because of what you're doing. The kind of shit that yeah, that's exactly where I was going, Christine. The kind of shit that you are doing, there are dire consequences on your soul for that. Like I can hear the kind of I'm hearing it off of my left ear, and they're targeting me right now. I can feel it. It's a low frequency, and it's a hum. There's a specific kind of hum when they target. My own son has felt this. He's like, I don't know what the hell this is, but my God, Mom, it's making me lightheaded. It's making me this, that. Okay, so he's a witness. I have doctors who believe me now. So, this is why I'm being targeted, because I know about their book. It is a real book. Somebody got the documents out some way, somehow. I don't have a clue how. If I did, that would put my life even further in jeopardy, but I don't have a freaking clue as to how they did it. I don't want to know how they did it. All I know is that they did it, and there are 500 copies, and they're with families with some serious money. I mean, like serious money. That much I know, and they are called the collectors or the collective. It's I've heard them. I remember them being called both. That's the reason why I talk about the collective or the collectors, because those are the two names that I heard them called. That's what they told my mom. That's what this psychic medium, the one that I call the psychic bitch from hell, that is what she told my mom. The collectors and the collective. Now, Mom and I always assumed it was the family that she worked for. Does not necessarily have to be them, because where she got this came from extreme money. The family that I know of, they do not have extreme money. They are not extremely wealthy. Wealthy, yes, but not, we're talking not billionaires, not. So this psychic knew that I'm an abductee, probably knew that my mother was an abductee. You think about how this goes, the manipulation, the fact that they wanted this book out. They wanted this book to be known. Why? I don't know. Apparently I was the one who was going to talk about it. And apparently it had to be at the right time. Well, I started asking about it in 2019. Hell, I was talking about it in 2017. But it didn't get anywhere until I asked this government asshat. And he is a government asshat, and I would never fucking trust him in a million years. And he's in ufology. Think about it. I will not say a name. There are people in my chat who know who the hell I'm talking about. And they know damn well I would never, ever in a million freaking years ever trust anybody like that. Ever. But it was my stupidity, my query, my curiosity. Curiosity killed the cat, they say. Well, guess what? Cat with a canary? What then? Great question, Amy. I wonder if there are more copies today. There are 801 billionaires in the U.S. now. Yeah, one of the statements I have always made is, are they going to kill 500? Is the government going to kill 500 families? I mean, they've gone after more people for less, you know? And that's a very good question, Amy. Are they going to bind the book like they did when I saw it? Is it going to be completely bound? I mean, who's got a printing company that can print that specific kind of paper? It had to have been on that specific kind of paper. Yeah, Amy just said their combined wealth is $6.2 trillion. Yeah. And you're talking big money. These are people with collections. This is what I was told. These, quote unquote, these are people. Okay, that's not a quote. It's a partial quote. Sorry. I hate it when my brain does that. These are people with extensive money that can hide this kind of thing. That's how it was said. You're talking big money. Big, big, big money. And I know that this wasn't the only company that she worked for. So you figure out who she was, you track it back. I don't know. There were specific reasons I didn't want anything to do with her. So, you know, and she knew that I would call her the psychic bitch from hell. Because she heard it. I know she did. Yeah, Amy, I picture the mansions with the bookcase wall that revolves into secret rooms. When my mom was told and was parroting this information back, that's exactly what I saw. What I was shown from my mom's own memory, and I think it's because of how it was described to her, or it was put into her head so that I would see it. Because mom specifically said back room. That was the word she used, was back room. Wow. Okay. Something just triggered in me. Anyway, so okay, back room that nobody knew about, not even the children. The children didn't even know that there was a back room in their home. I would assume those are adult children by now, or were. Anyway, it's also how I knew that there's certain people that I've had conversations with who've had extreme amounts of money and who've told me about certain Sasquatch information that is not widely known. And it's how I knew that they were telling me the truth. There were a number of factors that they had said and they were projecting as well. So I knew that they were telling the truth as to who they had talked to and where they had been. Because I don't always receive that information. My God, you guys need to leave the fucking ears alone. Anyway, and sorry guys, my skin itches, and more so, which is weird, it's more so when I'm on camera. Maybe that's because it's has something to do with I don't like talking about all this stuff publicly, but I'm making it very, very well aware of now. So nerve endings. Yeah, it is nerve endings, Christine. I agree. That and ever since the try this again. Ever since the targeting, my skin itches more, and it's just drives me up a wall. So anyway, book. Oh, silly question. How long did your mom look at the book, or did she? What was her reaction? Her reaction was, "Holy shit, this is real." No, it's not a silly question. My mom's reaction, actually, my mom, my grandfather, and my step grandmother, they, their reaction was, we always wondered if this was real, and this just proved to us that this is real. There were only 2 instances where my family ever talked about it again. Ever. It was years later, many years later, in fact. And the person who was there were 5 adults, 1 child. And the other person who was there, I asked them last year, "Do you remember these conversations?" "Yeah, I remember you guys talked about it, but I don't remember anything about what you were talking about. I never paid attention to it." There was something to that effect. I didn't pay attention to what was being talked about. And that's the safest thing that they ever could have said, but it's how they remember it. They didn't pay attention to when Mom and I and my step grandmother and my grandfather were talking about it. And kudos for that. I mean, it wasn't a subject that they were interested in, but it was a subject that my mom and I and my grandfather and my step grandmother were, especially my mom and my grandfather. Yeah, but we only talked about it twice after that. And then we never talked about it again. And we talked about it twice because there was something in the newspaper. I don't remember if it was the Times or the PI, but there was something in that's what it was. Mom got one specific newspaper and my grandfather got a different newspaper. Well, that was a whole other subject. And they brought Mom brought the other newspaper, and they were comparison. God, I was trying to get my brain to function on that one. They were comparing the 2 different stories that each newspaper did on some UFO thing. And I don't remember what the UFO thing is right now. I know that I have talked about it in the past. That's minutia to me. So it's somewhere in the far recesses of my brain somewhere, but it's such minutia that I don't give 2 shits about it. How long did your mom look at the book? My mom and my grandfather looked at the book. God. Hang on a second. I got to look at a clock because we had dinner. It's about 3 or 4 hours. So Grandpa, I think, looked at the book for maybe 2 hours. I looked at it, looking at a clock right now, trying to pinpoint this. I think he looked at it for about an hour while he was listening to the video, and I'm not discussing the video. Video was shit on wheels. Something that we now know is bunk. Yeah, about an hour, maybe an hour and 20, hour and a half for my grandfather, but Mom was definitely 2 to 3, 2 to 4. Oh, because she went to bed after they left. Trying to figure out. It was about 4 hours, somewhere between 3 and 4 hours. And me, I finally gave it up. I think I got 3 hours of sleep that night. It's either no, it wasn't 2 hours. It had to have been 3. Because I remember looking at that book for a long, long time and going through as many pages as I possibly could. And there was that one chapter. God, that one chapter is just mind-boggling. I wish I could. Okay, Amy, did the book ever discuss spirituality or religion in any of the chapters? No. The book was totally and completely on every document that the U.S. government had on everything relating to UFOs. And it wasn't 1947. It went back to the 1930. It actually went back to 1932 and 1933. That's what I remember of it. Now that may be a tipping point or a specific point where the government may go, well, that's bullshit then. It's not a real book. That's what this specific book showed, was 1932, 1933. There was also stuff from 1934 that I remember more than I do the 32, but 32 and 33 are what really stick in my head about this book. Pages were very thin. The book was huge. I mean, the book was just gigantic lengthwise and height-wise. I mean, it was astoundingly thick. Oh my God. The amount of, there were so many different now defunct, no longer active, or either they're called some program names. There's so many different program names running through my head right now. I can't seem to grasp which one to pull out. A lot was talked about regarding Blue Book. And something about how they were trying to make, it was something about how they were trying to make Blue Book a specific way. And how they were setting up certain individuals for it. And I do mean setting up. They did not want to create Blue Book by any stretch of the imagination, but they really needed to have Blue Book so that they could, it was almost like it was propaganda. Actually, that's really what I would classify Blue Book to them, was propaganda. They retitled Blue Book as to something else, and then that became another name. And I think there was a fourth one after that they then turned around and put to a conglomerate. Trying to remember, because in some of what you would classify as chapters, if you went into the middle of the book and you figured out the numbers at the top of the page, I can't think of what it's called, but at the top of the page, at the top of the document is how I should state that. At the top of the document, there are a bunch of, let's see, over here were There were military numbers, government numbers. Over here, you had a different number. Some of the numbers were almost like not blurred out. Blurred is not the word. Like the paper could not hold the kind of ink, so it would bleed. That's the word I was looking for. It would bleed out and up and um, but yet when you turn the page, um, it was different. So anyway, you'd have to take a look at that number at the top right hand corner, and then come back into the beginning of the book to see how things were implemented. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. Amy, yes, I think is what you mean. They used it simultaneously to collect and debunk and keep all the good cases for themselves. Yeah, that would be the layman's term, yes. But yet at the same time, there were things in there about the animal mutilations. There were a lot of information in there about animal mutilations and where they actually thought they were coming from. There were also things in there were also information in there about not just animal mutilations. And how they were going to be dealing or were dealing with the farmers who were having that issue. There were also because they knew. They knew. Damn it, Nikki. Not only did they know how the cattle mutilations. In the beginning of it they didn't, but towards the middle to the end they knew. They had more information that came to them. So yeah, they knew about the animal mutilations. They didn't in the beginning, but by the middle of it, and by the middle of it, you're dealing with the 60s, the 1960s into the 1970s. God, there were even secretary names on there, and I don't remember why the secretaries were on there. The secretary names were on there. And I'm not like talking Secretary of Defense or something like that. I'm talking about the secretaries who were doing the typing. I don't understand why some of those names were on there on the documents, as well as the bigwig names. That made actually no sense to me whatsoever. Oh my God, we're after 8. 8:43. Oh my God, I've been doing this for a while. A lot of military, a lot of high-ranking government officials. There were also, here's something. Senators and congresspeople knew. Now that I've never spoken about. There were certain senators and congresspeople who knew. Not just military. Oh, now this might get me. Somebody else put the name in. Starts with a K. Actually. Think about that one. Amy, you'll know the last name. There's a. They knew about the. There were over 253 names of extraterrestrial races they knew about. They knew about the ships. So I got my hands on this book in the 80s. Most of the information was coming from the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s. So you think about that. Who was politically well known in that time frame? Who knew things going on? It may not be a name that I can safely put in there, but other people might be able to. So it makes things. Yeah, go for it. Yes. Yeah. There were a bunch of other people outside of really far outside of government, but yet who were let in on things. That's just one name I'm going to let go right now of. But yes, you got it. Nailed it. There's a number of others. And yeah, presidents did know. They knew. They knew that the government, because these guys were they were signing documents on it. Every president was signing documents on it. There are signatures by presidents in that book. Yeah. Matter of fact, in some of them, there were. I wanna check before I actually say this. No, there's only one. And I don't even understand why there would only be one. But from what I remember, there was only one incident. Because I remember thinking, who the hell is that name? Yeah, I remember I was a teenager back then, and all we had were encyclopedias. We didn't have this kind of technology back then. So I had to look up in an encyclopedia who the name was, and it was a vice president who signed off on it, on this one document. Because I remember thinking, who the hell is that? And I remember having to write it down. And the next time I went to the public library, I looked it up. And then immediately put the book back. I remember that because I was so dumbfounded. No, I don't do that one. That one actually, it really kind of flipped me out a bit. I understood that a president would, and it made sense to me, but I didn't understand why a vice would. It made no logical sense to me. And it still to this day freaks me out, actually. Because I didn't understand why would a vice do that when it's the president who would have to sign it. It made no logical sense to me. There are things in the book about more than just ufology, but it all stemmed around ufology. And how do I say this? There were projects that went from ufology outside of ufology in order. How do I say that? They were based on ufology. Okay, they were based on ufology, but went outside of the norm of ufology, became other programs, and those other programs then had different names. And the previous programs would then be classified at, well, null and void, defunct. There's a word I'm looking for that I can't seem to grasp onto right now, and that's part of the targeting. So yeah, it gets really, the interesting thing, now that I think about it, the interesting thing that when I go back through these memories is just how insidious our government, our US government is regarding if they needed to change a program, they would shut the program down, and anywhere from 24 hours to 2 weeks later, it would be reclassified as something else and have a completely new not setup. That's not the right. It's like paragraphs. I can't think of what it's called when you retitle. You write up a new description of what the program is supposed to be, and that's what they were doing. And so, as soon as they get to a certain point, that's really, as a teenager, that's really what kept hitting me time and time and time again with this book, was that anytime they got to a specific level in ufology, they'd cut it off, and a very short amount of time. And it was within weeks. It was not a month. It was not 3 months. It was not, they would retitle it and reclassify it as something else, as a completely different. And that was something that is, even to this day, has really messed with my head regarding the names of programs, because I remember sitting there thinking, how am I going to look this up when I have to have, I remember thinking there were so many different things that I would have to do in order to verify this information was in this information, but you have to access, and that's what I figured out, was that you had to go by specific numbers. And that's how I really differentiate. I was like, oh, so they're retitling it, but the numbers were still the same. That I found fascinating, because you'd keep the number, or it would be one number off, like a bump up. So, like going from 7 to 8 at the end of the number, but yet the redesignate. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Amy. You'd have the first, you'd have like a letter, a dash, and then a number, and the number may be slightly off, but it's still, you got the same coding. So you'd start with a coding, and over here in the other corner of it, you'd have it would not revolve. The numbers were similar but different enough. And it's like the recoding, redoing, revamping, whatever the word is. This was the current one. This was the old one, if that makes any sense. Yeah, that would be awesome. Amy, what would be cool is to have the text of this book today and feed it into AI. Yeah, that would be phenomenal, wouldn't it? I mean, seriously. So, God, this book had. Somebody's reminding me. Talk about the amount of pages, and I think that's Mom. I can't say who. Sorry, wasn't Mom. Just realized who it was. The I'm sorry, what was it that you had said to me? Because you totally goofed my head up when you switched. Oh, sorry guys. This is what the targeting does. Okay. So flip the page over. You have a different document, different set of numbers, but it followed in line. It was in succession. Each document had a specific number to it, and you'd follow with that. Amy, the book reminds me of an oddly proportioned, unabridged dictionary. Yeah, in some ways, but it's not a dictionary because the only way I could even classify chapters is you'd have like what would be a chapter page. Excuse me, that was the only different. Oh, the amount of pages. It's over a 3,000 page book. Way over a 3,000 page book. It was close. Well, anyway, so I mean, this was a really thick book. Really, really, really dense. And the fact that they even made that many copies of it, I mean, that really tells me just how big of a deal they really wanted this known. They wanted it known within a certain society, outside of government, and that's a big deal. I mean, why to do what they did? Now you got to remember, I saw this book in the 1980s. Most of it went until about 1983, 1984. I remember it mostly from 83. But when I read this, it was 86 or 87. Um, the book reminds me of an oddly proportioned, unabridged dictionary in size and shape, weight, anyway. Yeah. Well, okay, so some of the library unabridged dictionaries that I saw back then, uh, not even remotely close to this in size. Um, I think there's only one, maybe two back then, books that were encyclopedia-esque, that you could not remove from the library. You could sit there and go through and write your notes and all of that kind of thing. I knew that this was all going to be dependent upon memory. And I knew that, I mean, I knew for months after I read this book that it needed to be in a lockdown. And if it hadn't have been for the people that I had met before the book, It would not have been in any kind of lockdown situation whatsoever. Would have taken a small warehouse filled with pallets of paper. Yeah, I can't even fathom how they did this. I mean, truly. I mean, how do you? It would take somebody years to do something like that. I can't even fathom when it was done. I mean, the fact that they had stuff all the way up until 1983. I mean, come on. How do you have somebody with that kind of and the passes that they'd have to use to access? I mean, how many times did they come and go from this? How many? I mean, I've got more. I don't have more questions about the book. I want to know how the hell did they get this out of the freaking government? I mean, the way it was stated by, oh God, what the hell's his name? Oh God, Paramarv. I think you were there. If you're still listening, uh, can't think of the guy's name. The one who said on Lynn Wallington. Well, she's not Wallington anymore, but at the time she was Lynn Wallington. Tom Whitmore. That's who it was I was thinking of. Tom Whitmore said that there is a quote unquote legendary red book that the government has regarding every ufology, but it's legendary, and that there have been other books that have been documented that are fake. Now, why would I be targeted for a fake book? They obviously know I'm telling the truth, otherwise I wouldn't be gotten after. There's something I've said in all of my 30, well, more than 30. How many, the red book was listed directly from Tom Whitmore. Now, there's also a Russian red book, quote unquote, Russian red book, end quote, that had supposedly had all the knowledge from the Russian government on ufology. This is a United States book. But Mr. Whitmore is the one who's MUFON, who Lynn actually asked him my question publicly on a video. Ouch. On a video. And see, now I've got to move again. You see my book on Native American healing. Hello, timber. Anyway, and I just tapped a bunch of stuff, which I didn't mean to. There we go. There we go. Off and away. So now wouldn't that be something, Amy? Amy just said, would really find it funny if one ended up in a used bookstore and to get it there, to buy it before the letter agencies do. So this is what I was asked by the agent that tried to hypnotize me publicly without my permission, I might add. Yeah, supposedly this, okay, so she also says it would be a task in itself just to keep track of the 500 copies and their physical location. And the 500 families, I mean, they're going after me the way they're going after me. I would be asking, they're killing them off. And who are they killing them? Who is being killed off? How are they being killed off? In what way? And is it all old school shit, or is it new technology? Sorry. Severely need to pop things and they're not popping. It's really driving me nuts. Anyway, would really be funny if they ended up, okay, bookstore. Okay, so here's the thing that this retired agent asked me. He asked me point blank, what do I think happened to the book? Well, in the first place, I believe it's still with whatever family that owns it. But at the same time, I have personally seen books that are classified as workbooks that have almost the exact same diagrams. So, do I think that the book has been parted out? Yes, I do. Do I know that for sure? No, I do not. There's no way in hell I'd have that kind of knowledge because, hello, number one, I don't own the fucking book. Number two, I don't know who the fucking families are. I don't have a clue. Not a clue. And it's probably safer for me that way that I don't. But are you snoring or are you farting again? Sorry, folks. Anyway, well, that's what happens when you get a large animal. They snore alert and they fart alert. Both simultaneously. Yes, that's just exactly what he did. So the fact that I'm being targeted for even talking about this book, anytime I've talked about it, the fact that they nailed me, wow, and it's not going on anymore, but they were because my ears were buzzing. Doesn't make me lightheaded, doesn't make me dizzy, does my son, but doesn't me. Oh, and they did nail my son. That's why I said what I did last week. And they're going after people who are innocent. My son doesn't have any fucking clue as to any of this shit. He doesn't know any of it. Neither does any of the other family. They don't have a clue. I'm the only one who does. I mean, that leads to be a great big target on my back. Well, all right. So, more about the book. So, yeah, I do believe that it's been parted out. Do I know that for a fact? No. The only reason why I even suspect it is because I've seen different sections in other books that really lead me to question it. Things that are so definitively close to what I saw in that book. That is why I highly suspect that somebody started parting out that book in different ways. There were over 250. I say 250, but the number that I've got stuck in my head is 243. Aliens that they knew of at that time and alien ships that they knew of at that time. 250. Okay. And they had every one of them drawn out. They were in sketches, and then also some were in sketches, some were also in it's like somebody had created like a computer generated, but it wasn't computer generated. It was very specific. I don't know how else to describe it. Yeah, okay, now it's your snoring. There were, oh my God, generals and what's above general? Oh, that's the other thing I'm not remembering. The military ranks, high up in military ranks. I can't think of what they're called at this second. But they were very much names. A lot of the old names in military were in that book. It was real specific. And of course, I can't think of names at this very second, which just irritates the shit out of me. I can see them. I can actually see them, but it's like I can't grasp the name. And that's mostly right now because I'm in pain. So more pain I get into it, I have a harder time focusing, which is typical. What else do you need? Yeah, I know, need names. So there were agent names in there, numerous different agent names who were actually going out in the field, ouch, talking to different people who had seen the UFOs. Oh, there was like the only thing I could classify it as is a mantid being. There was what oh God, what was it? Is it 54? Wasn't 45? I think it was 1954. Seen some kind of mantid. Somebody had witnessed it. Person's name was written down in the document. Oh, that was the other thing that I found interesting. Some of the full addresses weren't written down. Yeah, some of them are cool and some of them aren't cool. That goes hand in hand with good ETs and bad ETs. It's there's both in that. Full addresses weren't written down in some of the documents. It was like they were trying to keep the person protected, which I thought was really fucking weird. But you'd have the street location, you'd have zip code, you'd have even cross streets, but you didn't have, there were some of those documents that didn't have an actual full-on address, but you'd have an exact description of the location, which I was like, what? And I remember looking some of trying to, because you had we didn't have Google back then. We had you had maps, Thomas guides. I couldn't think of what they were called. You had Thomas guides, and you could actually not check out Thomas guides, but you could look at Thomas guides through the library back then. And when I realized that some of these locations were like fields, like farmers' fields, that actually made more sense to me not to have a complete address in some of them, some of the descriptions. Or it was near a house or somebody else's house, but the person who had reported it was their address was in there. What else? I'm trying to think of other things that were in there. So many reports of the cattle mutilations. That was, I do have to say, that was really gross. And understanding as a teenager what a sanguination meant. Ugh. Completely drained of all their blood, and yet there's certain things that were left on the ground with the animal, but yet not taken. Why does that make no sense whatsoever? Some of the documents had, what's the word, supposition, I think is the word, an estimated of what actually took place, but still understanding that they didn't know what it was, but the potential and possibilities of what could be done, which I thought was bizarre because I didn't think government did that. They dealt mostly with the evidence or lack thereof. Excuse me. Roswell was in there. Um, there were a bunch of locations where, and it wasn't just Roswell. They even talked about out of country incidences as well. Um, yeah, in certain sections of intestines. Amy said often take ears, eyes, tongue, and sex organs of the cattle. Yeah. There were comments about certain sections or certain feet of the, um, oh God, hooves. Yeah, okay. Somebody just reminded me of the hooves. I'm like, no, those are the kind of memories I don't want to have. I don't want to hold on to. Ugh. Things where you read where like parts of the hoof was taken, or ouch, or the inner eyelid of an eye, or the sphincter. I'm like, ugh, yuck. Um, it's just it. There were very graphic things in this book, very graphic. Um, and some, then you got some of it where it wasn't graphic enough. Um, but they just didn't know. They had talked to vets. They were, I do have to say, they did cover their bases. Everything that you could check, they checked. They talked to scientists. They talked, oh God, that's the other thing. I can honestly say I doubt highly I will remember the scientist names. There were a bunch of scientist names in there, and quite honestly, I tried to focus more on the official military names and the official people, the officials, and their names than I did trying to remember the scientists' names. Um, yes. Amy, did they name the species that were taking them or that they suspected? Not in the beginning, but more in the oh God, like between 60, I was going to say 68. That's not right. More between 66, 67, all the way into like 77. Yeah, I think that's right. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's right. Um, by the time they got into the later years, they, yes, they suspected what what was doing it, but they didn't have a full understanding of it. And I think that even though that by then they were working with certain races of ET, um, and that's the other thing is there were a couple of contact names of ET names that they had, but I'm trying to remember exactly where in the book, if that's um, if that's the chapter. I was going to say the section. If that's the chapter that I pretty much have on a lockdown. But yeah, they talked about that, Amy. Um, so there's wasn't just the Greys. They knew about the Greys. Um, they knew about the Greys, the Pleiadians, the Mantids. God, there's a bunch of them, and there's some that I didn't even recognize names of. Um, Even to this day, I've never recognized that. I'm like, what the hell is that? Um, but yeah, there's a bunch of names, and um, there's a name that they put in that revolves around Antarctica. has to do with ufology. I don't know, and I do not remember in what way, but they're part of that one chapter that I've got locked down has to do with Antarctica, and I didn't understand that back then. I didn't. None of it made any sense to me whatsoever. But it was listed as to do with ufology. Otherwise, it would not have ever been in that book. God, that thing's so loud. Anyway, trying to think of other things. The way I've got my memory in lockdown, it's very specific to why I'm not remembering this second as to the names, because it's almost like I've got them blacked out so that I won't say them off the cuff. There are things that I want to actually have, I want to write them down. I want to look deeper, unlock those different sections of memory, write down the names, and then I may not say the last name. I may say a first name instead. Stevenson still keeps coming up. It's driving me nuts. Anyway, there were some really big, gigantic names and some really insignificant names. I mean, there's so many people. You're not just talking hundreds of people, you're talking thousands of people, and many of them didn't even know that they were writing for a government. I was going to say book, that's not right. A government document. There were things that they were writing information on, and I don't believe, based on how things were worded, I don't believe they comprehended that it was for government. Because the way the military was wording things versus how the programs were being worded versus the scientists were wording things differently versus the those who were non-military, non-government were writing completely different. So that's the other way that I knew that, well, I knew that this book was real, was because of how things were being written, typed up. And it is typed. I mean, this is all old-fashioned, clickety-clack, typewriter type of stuff, old-fashioned. And then however they managed to do the photocopies, I don't have a clue. I can only imagine how it was done. And how to even remotely shrink that stuff down onto paper. I know they could back then because, hello, my grandfather. And my grandfather was doing things in the 60s and 70s for his business, and I was growing up in that environment, so I got to see firsthand how you did copies back then, very specifically, in fact. So it truly always amazes me how these kind of things were done, and let alone how the hell do you get something? I don't have a goddamn clue. I mean, the espionage, I can't even conceive of. I just way beyond anything of my stuff. Yeah, I agree, Amy. That was pretty high tech back then to resize pages, because some of them went to the very edges, very labor intensive. Yes, I fully agree. Some of the documents went all the way to the edges, and then some of them were like really tiny and you could barely read them, but yet they were trying to get so much onto a page. you could see where somebody was really trying to. I mean, they were struggling, and I can't even imagine how they managed to do it. I mean, um, grand scheme of things. I mean, Jesus. Um, Really, the biggest stuff that I remember was from the 70s. Um, like 77, 76, and 77. What the hell went on in 76 and 77? I mean, seriously, regarding ufology. Because here you have, oh, oh, um, there were things talked about regarding, one was the battle for LA. There were things like that talked about in it. Um, some of the really big stuff, those were mentioned in the book. I don't remember where in the book right now. I just remember them being mentioned. Um, document, oh my God, document after document regarding some of them. Because they had to interview so many people. And that's why I call them chapters, because you've got so many different, you got page after page after page after page. And then you've got what the beginning looks like of a new chapter. It's not chapter headings by any stretch of the imagination, but it's the only thing that I can classify as another chapter. Hey, Sandra. 1952 White House flyby, most likely. Yeah, every single thing that has ever happened in the United States was in that book, from 1932 until 1983, 84. So, I mean, that I would assume gives the government a timeline as to when to go look, to go searching who was there and how did they do it and how many people. I mean, what I want to know is how many people did it take? You would have had to have had a number of people be having access to those kind of files. I mean, or very specific individuals. I mean, think about it. They're probably headhunting right now in a very negative, derogatory way. Anyway, it's not at all what I wanted to talk about tonight. But so what's coming? What's going to be taking place? The most of the stuff that I keep seeing still revolves around civil unrest, um, civil type of actions taking place regarding um, uh, what's going on right now. A lot of people are going to be pretty upset over things. Excuse me. And so then I'm also um, things that are taking place right now. I've already predicted those are already in the process of going on. Yeah, he was snoring and farting a little bit ago, so he probably should be. Get him on his schedule. Anyway, so what is taking place that I predicted was, look at how the volcanoes are going on. Take a look at what is going on across the globe, across the United States. Eventually, there will be tunnels opened up, sinkholes opened up between Canada and the United States. Why, I do not know. I have not a clue as to why. I can only assume, make assumptions, and those assumptions revolve around fracking. But is that what really triggers the underground tunnels to collapse, or the surface to collapse into the underground tunnels? When that happens, we're going to start seeing more So you're gonna have the stuff along the mountains go, certain mountains go. How they're just now finding out about how a lot of these underground lava tubes are interconnected. Well, hello, that's normal, natural. That should be logical. But I have been consistently told that it's not, that they're not interconnected. Well, yes, they frickin' are. Um, and it's funny because that's what's actually coming up and being shown now, scientifically. Um, yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Um, so Amy said, what I do recall is around 2027 or 2028 ish, and just how relatively empty the streets and cities were, like 30% less? Question mark. Yeah. And that comes down to control. Um, because a lot of this comes down and boils down to massive control issues, but how much of the population is going to take a stand up against that? That's where the rubber really meets the road. You know, am I calling for civil war or civil unrest or civil disobedience? No. But I am asking you to take a look at things and make decisions that are safe for you and your family. Um, do the research as to who owns whether you're in the United States or in Italy or the UK or Japan or China. Who owns your companies? Who owns your pharmaceuticals? Who owns your farmlands? Who um, buy local? Buy your meat locally. Buy your poultry locally. Your eggs locally. Um, there are reasons for what's happening, and it's time. Speaking of time, very interesting. 222. So anyhow, do your research. Yeah. Excuse me. Amy says the Northern Plains states were almost void of anyone. Well, who owns a major portion of the farmland now? How many farms have been bought up by certain billionaires and certain conglomerates? And what are they doing to that soil? And can you create? This is what I want to do. I want to create indoor farmland. There's a bunch of things that can be done and that are away from the poisoned water that is being coming down from the sky that is being poisoned. Um, you know, uh, in order to do that, you have to have extreme filters on your water supply, filtration system after filtration system after filtration system, in order to make that water pure enough to be safe enough for the plants, to be safe enough for humans to ingest. Because if you're toxifying the sky with HARP or with whoever is doing it, or whatever way it's being done, do your research. It's all educational purposes only, guys. This is do your own research. Don't take it from my mouth. Go do your own freaking research. Look into it. If it's being poisoned from the sky and you've got rain coming down and it's toxic and it's going to affect the plants. It's going to affect everything. So from us humans to the water that any of the animals drink. Look at the fire hazards that are the fire practices that have stopped being used to prevent forest fires and what's being sprayed out of the skies. You've got different chemicals, different toxicities, and when you stop using techniques that are known techniques to prevent forest fires and building fires, and you've got technology that is burning buildings to the ground but untouching plastic, plastic isn't burning, excuse me, but everything else is burning, including certain aspects of metal. uh you might want to look into that. You might want to look into those kind of things. So yeah, I'm not going to read that one out loud, Amy, but yeah, I agree. Look into things like that. How controlled and deep dive do you really want to go? Do you really want to know? If you don't want to know, are you going to follow suit with everybody else? I've always been one. That's one of the things my mother taught me. Always, if you're interested in something, look it up, Nikki. That's what I've been doing my entire frickin' life, looking it up. This is why I say, do your research. This is why I spout on it all the frickin' time. Do your research, because if you don't, are you going to go blindly into society? Are you going to be one of the dumbed down? You know, it's interesting because the person that I met today, this afternoon, one of the things that she said is certain agencies, and I'm going to say agencies, it's a company, certain agencies, certain companies want us dumbed down. I fully agree with her. They completely do. They want us dumbed down so that we're not paying attention. It's the same with government. Government does the same damn thing to humans. Oh, look over here, but here we're really doing this shit. Oh, but look over here. No, 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 no. We want your attention over here. Well, we're pulling this shit. So do your research. You know, this is not joking matter stuff. This is like, take it very seriously, but don't become paranoid by it. The biggest thing that you can do for yourself is make yourself aware. Then make it to where you can protect yourself. Now, I'm not talking about weapons, I'm talking about other things. Find to where you can protect yourself and your family if you have loved ones that you live with, or if you have family who are at a distance. Find other things that they can do. Create a better energy system for yourself. That's one of the things that I want to do, is I want to create a school for energy, because I know that at some point in time, and I've been touting this since the mid 1990s, that the US government is going to make it illegal to be psychics. They're going to make it to where they're going to start corralling everybody. I want a school to teach. I want people that are psychics, that are mediums, that can come to a facility that can teach others. I'm not talking about what the government does with Virginia, or the one up at Vancouver Island, BC. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about to where everybody is taught how to use their abilities. Even if it's in a small way, it's something that they can use. Because when you change frequency, you change energy. And that is something that the positive ETs do want for us. They don't want this bullshit that's going on here on this planet right now. They don't want any of that going on. They want us in higher dimensions in our higher consciousness, because that's where we will advance. Not this bullshit, drop everybody down to the lowest frequency that they can be and target everybody with frequency weapons. Because that's essentially what they're doing. That's essentially what they're all doing. So do your own research as to which countries we're touting. Let's see if I've got one. Yes, I do. Good. Check out which countries were doing the. How many of them? Check into which ones weren't. Yes, Amy, I agree with that. She says one of the biggest advantages of psychic training is you can easily sense who is full of crap and who wants to harm you. And some of them can be very clever. Very true. We're getting into a hardcore situation of control, folks. Do your research. Learn what you can. And if you are not somebody who grows food or who knows how to do those things, team up with others who can. Find what you can do for yourself, because there are going to need to be times when you're going to have to do for yourself. And that means more than, whoa, hello. Sorry, guys. That's high pitched. It's like really fucking high pitched. Find the things that you can do for yourself and in ways that you can help others. Okay? Figure out what works for you. Go beyond what you normally would do. You have to, in order to survive what is going on and what's about to come. You need to figure out what's going to work for you. And you need to figure out how you can help others. Wow, that was intense. Really intense. Work on your own energy. Learn how to deal with your own hair. We had to do that during COVID lockdown. Figure out how you can do things at basic levels. Start building up those basic levels and go beyond that. Find ways of doing purity for foods. Learn what works. Do you want to be living on the surface or do you want to go underground? Find what works for you. Find a community. If you are on your own, find a community. Make yourself known in that community. If you need the extra help and stuff. This is about survivability right now. There are so many people out there that are like, I can't do this. So they unalive. Do you know what that costs on the soul? Do you have any idea what that costs your soul? It means you will be reliving every single one of the things that you didn't learn in that lifetime. You will get to relive it over again in your next lifetime to an nth degree. Don't do that to yourself. Get yourself out of those kind of mentality. You have abilities that can help people. Use them. And I'm being targeted on my throat right now. Right? Right there. Yep, right there. Because they want me to shut up. I'm not going to shut up. I'm going to keep talking. Whether I lose my voice or not, I'm going to keep talking. I'm going to find a way to communicate. Do what you need to do to protect yourself. Find the things, because they're trying to cause cancer for me. Thank God I've got doctors who believe in me, who believe what I'm telling them. And if it comes down to it, I can provide the declarations of people who have witnessed shit. Because there have been a lot of people who have witnessed things with me. Yeah, Trace is saying what you are saying is what so many others are saying and have said for years. It's true. Yeah. Find ways that work. Find ways that are going to protect you. Find things that you need to do. It's more than just survivability of this. Okay, Amy is saying, is there an icky ET group that is on top of all this troublemaking? Yeah. Good portion of the negative reptilians. There are good reptilians out there, but there are also negative ones. Sorry. Just got a spot on my shirt I didn't know I had. Learn something new every day. Well, that's what happens when you have a large shelf and you drop things and you don't realize you dropped something. Anyhow, Amy says negative reptilians knew it. They are into the control thing. Yeah, I mean, seriously, but it's not all reptilians are bad. They get a bad rap. There are some good reptilians out there. It's just makes it difficult because the bad ones. Now, I do have to tell you, there are a couple of really, truly wicked reptilians in underwater bases. I felt them. They make me violently ill. Anytime I get around them, I start projectiling. That is not a joke. I don't take projectile vomiting as a joke, folks. So, yeah, just be on guard. Watch your back. Have an EMF meter reading how much EMF energy is in your home, your apartment, your living, your dwelling, whatever you want to call it. Now think about learning a new language. I've said that for years, but I don't think I've ever said that one publicly. Yeah, Amy, there are very specific there are very specific detrimental, very negative ETs who are working with government regarding the underwater bases. And I found out the hard way in 2019. summer of 2019, in fact. Trace, there are underwater cities many don't know about or believe or whatever. Blah, it's all true. It's true too. Yeah, it is true. I know it's true only because of the fact that I was on the UFOI team, and we were on a assignment. I couldn't think of what the hell it was called. We were on an assignment, and the assignment was to go and interview a number of people regarding this one very specific kind of these number of people who had witnessed, well, more than just one, who had witnessed, well, an entire family, in fact, had witnessed a UFO by a military base in Washington State. And so we were in the process of interviewing them, and afterwards, one half of the group went home and the other half stayed behind and did a night watch. And during the night watch, as somebody else can attest, well, there's a number of people that can attest to this, I started having an immediate reaction when I was facing a specific location. I was facing the water, but I was facing a very specific location at the time. And every time I looked away, I was fine. Anytime I went back to that location, I got physically ill. I mean, the kind where I was about to projectile vomit. And the only other person that I knew that was there at the time that was an abductee, well, there were a couple, but I knew confirmed that this person was an abductee. And I went and I talked to them. And I said, hey, I need your help. Can you please, is this what it's like for you when you know that they're about to pick you up? And I described it, and he said, yeah, it's very much like that. And I went back to what I was doing. I stood there in front of the water, and I literally was able to scan, and just scan and scan and scan. And the next thing I was able to determine that anytime I got, and I saw it, the first time it happened, I literally saw the underground base, how it actually looked from underwater, and the getting them dry. That's always fun. And then not only seeing it from underwater, but seeing the inside of it, because it went many floors down into the surface of the earth. And so I was like, wait a minute, this is connected. How is this connected to that base? And somehow they were interconnected. And that freaked me out. That was a whole nother ball game. That really freaked me out. And that was when I realized there were two underwater bases. One directly off of a certain location, and then one a distance away. The one that was a distance away had some kind of, they were interconnected, but not fully or completely, but somehow they were interconnected. And I still don't understand that, but that's still how my feeling is to this day. But the one that was right next to the base, oh yeah, highly connected. I could see tunnels. I could see pipes. I can still seeing it. Elevators that are not called elevators, they're called something else. Yeah. So, yeah, I know we've got underwater bases that are both human military and human military combined ET. Pretty effed up, if you ask me. And show, I got stuck on an escalator once, stood there for hours. That would lead me to ask Joe, what the hell were you smoking at the time? I'm giving you shit. Anyway, how you doing, Joe? Good to see you, dear. Anyhow, so yeah, there's, it is what it is. There. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, we're dealing with the book. You're dealing with underwater government bases. You're dealing with ET underwater bases. They're all over the place, folks, and they are in underground, underwater, and underground. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out what are you smacking your jaws for. Hello, little tail with the curve in it. Anyway, if I could show him, I would, but I'm not going to do that. Anyhow, although I'm just thankful my knee is not being licked. God, dog. Anyhow, that's pretty much it tonight, folks. I've way long past, and you guys heard me rambling on forever. 2 hours and 46 minutes. I appreciate it. Sticking around this long. I don't know if I'm gonna write it all up. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how I'm doing. My low back and my sciatica is bothering me right now, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, what was I gonna say? I think that's pretty much it. Oh, please hit the like, subscribe, and share button if you're so inclined. I appreciate that. I have had issues to where thank God I've done screenshots, because I've had the amount of people show up and then 12 hours later only 52, 54 have viewed, and yet there have been over 100. So please put your like and subscribe in there if you're interested in what I'm talking about. They're trying to minimize the amount of how many people are watching and viewing and all that shit. And I'm like, you guys and your goddamn algorithms, you're just blowing smoke up everybody's wazoo. So anyhow, do I know what I'm going to talk about next week? No. Next week on the S4 Bunker, S4 Paranormal Bunker Radio. Yeah, I never remember what the hell we're calling ourselves. Anyway, it's the S4 Bunker to me. We're going to be talking about Bigfoot, which ought to be interesting. Bigfoot and a couple of other things, but that's the main thing. Hello. You come over. Are you going to say hello? You going to come over and say hello? Oh, there he is. Hey, goofball. Anyhow, yeah, get your tail out of the face. He's been a bit pretty good goofball. Anyhow. Camera doesn't do him justice, I do have to say. Anyhow, trying to think if there's anything else. Amy, you had some good questions about, I don't know, I'm not remembering them. You had some really good questions about the kernels and a couple of other things you had asked me about. Now I can't think of what they are. It's about the book. Para, does the dog sense any visitors that pop in to aggravate you? Yes. He's been very good at it too, in fact, even from his sleep. There have been times where it hasn't fazed him, and then there have been times where there's a certain energy that just irritates the shit out of him. Knock it off. Getting nailed again. There are certain times where it bothers him, and then other times where it just doesn't faze him at all. So, and there's a certain male energy that he can't stand. He'll wake up out of a sound sleep barking, and I'm like, yeah, you called that one, came in about a minute ago, and now you're waking up barking at him. Okay. So, yeah. So there's your question, Paramar, or there's your answer, Paramarv. He doesn't. He likes my mom. He's fine around my grandfather. He gets a little wonky around one of my male family members, but he doesn't get aggressive. But the government asshat, there's a specific government asshat he don't like. Wow. Oh, that's the other thing. They've changed out their government asshats because, hello, I can tell people where they live. So, anyhow, aging autistically. Hi, Nikki. This is Polly. Something kept kicking Rick off of your live stream, so we are watching from my account. Okay. Well, hello, Polly and Rick. Yeah, I had a lot of that happening. It took me 4 tries, 3 or 4, no, 4. Hey, Christine. It took me 4 tries just to get this up and going as a live stream. After last week, they really did not want me talking. But since I started talking about the book, they wanted to know what I know. So I started talking about it. But when I really wanted to read how it happened instead of talking about how it happened, because you get more defined memories in how I write than in how I speak it. So, but with me speaking it, you get it directly from my mouth. Either way, you get it directly from my mouth. But, and my grandbabies and great grandbabies are going to be writing about me. So, which is always good. It's going to be interesting when they write their own books about me, see what they say. I already know I'm going to be proud of them for it because they will have done deep dives because I got everything. I've kept everything. And there are things that government don't know I got. It's not government documents or anything like that. But there have been things that have been piecemealed out to people. So, yeah, everybody's got a little bit of it. Did that for my own safety, motherfucker. So, anyhow, and it's not with the people you think it is. Anyhow, I hope you have a good weekend. Since it's 10:03 p.m. Pacific time right now, 2 hours and 53 minutes into this. It took me that long just to get it up and going. That's crazy. Anyhow, ET abductee that I can remember since age 4. Mother's an abductee. Ooh, just got told Grandpa is too. Did not know that. Suspected it, but did not know that. That actually makes a lot of sense with how my grandfather was really into space and aliens and a wide range of subjects. Very interesting. I figured my grandmother was, but I didn't honestly think my grandfather was, but I just got told my grandfather was, so that's interesting. Anything else that I can think of off the top of my head? No. Oh, anybody got ideas for me in making money? Because now I need to actually start to make money. If I'm going to continue doing this, then I need to be making money so that I can have guests on and talk to people. So hit me up. You guys know my info. restorebelief2022@gmail.com. Facebook is facebook.com/Nikki, NIKKI .jacobs.376. What else? You can always leave me a message here. It'll be public, but you can always leave me a message here. Anyhow, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I hope you have fun. I hope you get to play. You've got to play. My darlings, you've got to go and play and get some fun and have at least a couple of different happies in your life. Whatever those happies may be, or tantalizing that they may be. Find things that intrigue you. Find things that make you happy. Change your frequency. Move everything up in your frequency. Even if you're having a great deal of anxiety issues, look into Rescue Remedy. Look into, Rescue Remedy is made by Bach. Essential flower essences. Look into them. Some of those things might help. Anyway, on that note, I'm really babbly. I do apologize for that, but it's been an interesting almost 3 hours. I hope you take very good care of yourself. Have a great weekend. Y'all deserve it. We all deserve it. Stay alive. Bye, friends. Oh, like I said, if you've got anything that you want to ask, you always know you can ask at any given point, any time. If I know the answer, I will answer it. If I don't, I'll find a way to refer you to somebody who can. Okay? On that note, bye, guys. Take good care. Yes, as Trace says, take care of you. Right on. Bye, folks. Thank you for coming. Remember, like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.